Right, let's have a crack at this project, shall we? Because by doing so, we can think about what we do and who we are, but also it'll help pupils from the other schools to understand a little bit about us as well. And we'll keep it nice and simple at first, but then you can take it as far as you'd like to take it. So this is a keynote that's been set up by Apple themselves, and I know people have tried this all over the world. It's designed to be used on a Mac, because if you can see here, we've got these silhouettes, and on a Mac, I can change the shape of the faces to make them fit more like me. I still think that's quite a difficult thing to do, but what I'm going to show you today is how we can make our own silhouette. Okay, and you can see down the left hand side the steps that I'm going to do, and I'm leaving it in editing mode for a very good reason, in that I want you to see all the steps that we're going to do. So you can if you've not used Keynote before, tapping on things, I'm just tapping on the top slide, gives you different opportunity to do things. So I can delete that slide, for example, if I want to. So I can pick the one that I want, the slide that I want, and delete the other one. So I would delete that one, and I would delete that one just by tapping on it, delete, and delete, and so on until I'm down to the one that I want. So this is the one that I'm going to use. It doesn't make an awful lot of difference in terms of the actual shape of the head. It's the background things, that the background colour, that makes the difference. So I'm going to go for that orange one. That's the one that I'm going to do. Now, what we're going to actually do is we're going to add a photograph of ourselves, a side selfie. I don't know if that's a thing, but it is now. So we're going to add a side selfie, and then we're going to colour over it to make it look white. Then we're going to get rid of the original photograph, and you'll just be left with a silhouette. And then we'll look at the actual project that we're going to do. Okay, so this is the original slide that Apple gave me. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to Add at the top up here. And in Add, I've got all these different options. I've got tables, I've got charts, and I've got objects and things which we're going to use a lot of today. But I've also got over here the photo roll, as well as being able to take a photograph. Now you can do this by taking a photo directly into it. So I can do this, put it in selfie mode, and then I suggest you get your friend right and look to the side, right, and tell them to take the photograph if you want. I've already done one. As you can see, it's in my camera roll down here, and that's the one that I took. Again, I double clicked on it, and that allowed me to just play around with it a little bit, allowed me to zoom in a bit, straighten it up, make it more the size that I want it to be. Play around with that and get it how you need it to be. Okay. Now I've done that, and I've got one prepared here. So this is mine that's prepared and how I want it to be. Now, what we need to do is get rid of all the detail. We just want to colour over it. So again, we're going up here to this Add button at the top right hand side, and this time we're going to go to the Shapes and Objects, and right at the bottom it says Drawing. If you bring up the drawing tools, you've got a pen at the bottom. If you click on the pen, it allows you to make your nib a bit thicker or a bit thinner, depending on what you want. I tend to use it quite thick because it fits more the fact that I've got a fatter finger. But you've also got other tools there as well. You might want to play around with that and sit and see and use whatever colour or whatever texture you want, but I'm going to keep it really simple. I'm going to go for the Apple theme and use it as just as white. You can see over here is the colour that's selected, but I can also play around with that and play around with different colours just by flicking around. I'm going to use white though, as I say. Now, one tool that's really useful is this one here, because essentially it allows you to colour in huge areas in one go. So what I'm going to do first of all is I'm just going to draw around most of my head so that most of it's coloured in by this special tool. Okay, just as long as it doesn't go off my head, that, and let go, and it's coloured in white. Now I need to put the finer detail, so I'm going to click on the pen. I'm going to put it on the thickest setting, it's in white, and now I'm going to use the pen just to colour over it, and I'm going to colour right to the edges. In fact, it might even be worth me drawing around my head first. Should have done a bit more down there. So finish it off, and we'll do it a bit more accurate. Okay, I'm rushing this because I'm showing you, but I do have one I prepared earlier. If you find big areas like at the bottom of my neck there, which could be covered quickly, go back to that tool and just draw over them. And it'll save you colouring them all in. There you go. And you can block out whole areas quite quickly before you can then go into the pen and use the finer detail. When you've done all that, it'll look a bit like that. Okay, and that's what mine's going to look like. Now, very simply, I'm going to click. I've got the silhouette, which is here, but I've also got, oh, I'm in pen mode, done. Make sure you click done at the top, otherwise it's going to be quite confusing. So you can see I've got a silhouette, and that's outlined, or I've got the photograph, and that's outlined. I can flick between the two. Now with the photograph, I want to get rid of it. I don't need it anymore. So if I click on the photograph, you can see the blue little circles there to know I'm in control of that, and I can click delete. And now what I'm left with is my head. I can make that a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller as I want it to be. Just be careful when you do that, because it won't be all grouped together, some of the colouring in. Okay, it's best to actually make your photograph the right size in the first place. Okay, but there I am, there's my head. Now I'm here, okay, got my head, and I can start adding things to it. So again, I'm on the add button at the top right hand side, and I can start to think about the things that I like, things that are to do with my life, things, my favourite food perhaps, things I like to do on a weekend. So I like, for example, to go skiing, and I'm going to click on there, and I'm going to put skiing in my brain over there. Okay. When you touch on an object, you can see it's got the blue little dots around it. I can also click on this little paintbrush at the very top of the screen. That allows me to change the format of it if you've not used it before, and I can change colours. It might be nice to do it multicoloured. It might be nice to do it, you know, something that's relevant to the actual sport. It might be nice to keep them all the same colour. I know Apple tend to use them as the same colour, but you do it exactly as you want. There are other options. You can add shadows and things to it. You can, it makes it stand out more. A reflection. You can play around with that, but make sure that the message is key. Now, I think it would be really lovely if each of the pupils in each of the schools did 5 things that they like to tell people about themselves. It might be things they like doing. It might be about books that they like reading. It might be about something they do at the weekend. It might be something about the family, where they live. I don't mind, but what I'd like to see by the end of this is a keynote slide, nicely set up, that's got 5 objects that tell something about you.